Alright, welcome to this episode. We are still on our road design. Um, if you have been following, on this episode we are going to do a design criteria check. Very important. Um, which is one of the most important thing that you should do as well on your design. So I will just type design criteria editor. This is what we'll have. So automatically it will take me to that window. If you look at this, if I click on this drop down menu, you can see this is metric. So everything linear unit is in meter. You can change that if you want it to be in kilometers. However, the area is in square meters, the volume is in cubic meters. You can play around with that and change any of that. Automatically it will take effect on your design. So you can see we are using Ashto, obviously, like you know, so we can update whatever is here on our Ashto, because everything we are making reference to as far as Nigeria is concerned, we adopt the Ashto. So only that there are some little improvement that we have done, but everything is basically because all of this research was done by Ashto. So this is Ashto 2011 metric. This is for your super elevations for 4%. You can see what we have for. You can check this minimum radius table from your what do I call it. This is for super elevation for on your highway manual. So you are going to see all of this information. So this is my highway manual. You can just see what I have here. It's starting from 50 kilometers, 60 kilometer. So for your 50 kilometer, you can double check that based on what you have from your civil 3D manual. So you can see what we have. So you can as well confirm all the information that is here. We are using 60. So this is for 4%, and we said is 135. So you can double check all of those informations from what do I call it, from your highway manual. You can see we have for a super elevation of 4% here, we said is 135. So you can see it's actually very correct with what we have. It tallies. So you can take our time to check all of this and play around with it. So if here I'm not, definitely I don't have 15, I don't have 20, I don't have 30, I don't have 40, I can basically just remove as many that I don't want from this my table. Similarly, I can do for 6% for this and this and this and this and this. So by the time you are good with this, you can rename them to Federal Ministry of Works Highway Manual instead of what we have here, which is Ashto 2020, right? So you can change that information and save it somewhere so that you can always use it whenever you want to work. Similarly, for your crowned round way, you can play along with this. So you can check for your super elevation. You can see super elevation attainment method. You can play around with this, but it's not something far from what we have from our highway manual. So you can check all of this based on from our alignment, right? So let's say we come back to our profile. You can see this is minimum K value tables for our stopping sight distance. I said I was going to briefly talk about this. You have to check, you know, our design speed is 60, so we can check our stopping sight distance or just check basically our sight distance. Let's look at that in our highway manual. So if you come to here, I will just type sight distance. So let's see passing sites. Wait, so I'm here. So let's look at that table. You can see sight distance standard. So for 60, remember we said from that other material 400 was different. You can see every design speed has its own sight distance and has its own passing sight distance and also sight stopping sight distance, right? You can take out time and do a little research on sight distance, on stopping sight distance, on passing sight distance. So you can see the value varies based on your design speed as well. So your design speed, basically your stopping sight distance, is when you are climbing a particular hill, like your vertical curve at the crest. Now at a particular speed, and you know our speed is at 60 kilometer per hour. Now at that point, if there is another car which is approaching from the other side, or maybe a cow, or maybe sheep that are crossing, going across that particular road, by the time you apply your brake and there is a particular distance you are supposed to have been able to stop, which is called the stopping sight distance, in order for you not to hit that particular car which is approaching or whatever that is crossing that particular road. So it's basically what we are talking about. Passing distance is just basically passing a particular approaching vehicle at what distance and all of that. So and all of these are provided in our highway manual, and you can take our time to read all of this. You can see passing sight distance, the minimum sight distance that must be available to enable the driver of one vehicle to pass another vehicle safely and comfortably without interfering with the speed of an oncoming vehicle traveling at the design speed. Should the oncoming vehicle come into view after the overtaking maneuver is started, the sight distance available for passing at any place is the longest distance at which a driver whose eyes are 1.05 meters above the pavement, so your eyes are 1.05 meters above the pavement surface, can see the top of an object which is 1.3 meters high on the road. So this is very, very important. At least you can see, based on what we have here, these informations are very key informations. So we are also going to be considering all of that even as we continue with our design. You can see the stopping sight distance, another very key important information. Stopping sight distance is minimum sight distance required on the road to enable a vehicle traveling at design speed on a wet pavement to stop before reaching wet pavement. This is very, very important. When it rains, you know, you all agree with me that when you apply a brake, it's different from when the surface is dry, right? And when you apply a brake, it doesn't really work very, very effectively compared to when you have a wet ground. So this is a very key important information. The distance transversed by the vehicle from the instance the driver sights an object necessitating a stop to the instant the brakes are applied. The distance required to stop the vehicle from the instant brakes are applied. These are, you can see the stopping sight distance is measured from the driver's eye, which are assumed to be 1.05 meters above the pavement surface, to all objects 600 mm high on the road. So these are very key important information. I know I have been talking extensively. We've been just doing theory. We've not really drawn any line, any horizontal alignment or vertical alignment. I know a lot of persons are eager to see us do all of that, which we are going to do, but we need to establish all of these before we can then go into all of that. So all of these informations are very much available in our highway design manual. It's very important that you cross-check and be sure that it aligns with our highway manual, or else you will have to come to that table and edit them, right? It's very, very important that you do all of that edit before you proceed with your design. So that is that. I'm still going to talk about something very key here on Civil 3D. So it is always advisable that when you are done with every of the check and you are sure that everything is okay, you may have to probably rename all of this. Just give it a name, maybe Federal Ministry of Works and Highway. By the time you are done with all of your editing, everything you have double check, everything tallies, or if there be any changes, you effect that change on those tables that are here, so it can suit whatever we have. Our highway manual, some of those datas are being updated. So if you check, this highway manual I'm using is 2013, so probably there have been some changes. You will have to effect those changes on these tables and then you save them. So we have already one that is pre-saved, that has been saved already as a template that I'm also always going to be using. So if you, let's say you want to save your own highway manual design standard, so all you just need to do is just to click on save as. You just save as and then you give it a name and then save it to whatever directory you want to do that. So I wouldn't save this, I will just close this because I don't want it to affect whatever is there already before. All right, still on design checks, if you could remember, we spoke about grades previously. This grade, how do you include this in your Civil 3D for your check? Is also very, very important. So we'll have to include this in our design check, and that is not part of that design criteria that you see there. So we'll have to add this information as a design check. So it checks our design as we draw our horizontal alignment and all of that. It will check all of this slope. It will alert us the moment we violate any of those. Once the slope is too much, once we go below 0.5, it will alert us. Once we go above, we said our flat terrain 6, once we go above 5, it will alert us. So this 0.5 is telling you that at least for the water to be able to drain out effectively. So, and in a worst case is 0.3. So 0.3 is the worst you can go. By the time you go less than 0.3, that means it can't drain out the water. So that slope is too small for the water to flow out effectively. So and then 0. And then 5 is the highest you can go. If you go more than 5, it will be too steep for 60 km per hour speed. So this is basically what all of that is telling us. So how do we add this information now into our Civil 3D? So we have 0.5 here, and then we have 6, and then we have 5. So this is what we are going to be adopting in our design check, and we are going to add that into our Civil 3D right away. So what I will do quickly is just to come to my settings here, and I will click on my profile. If I click on profile, you can see what I have here. I have what we call design check. So if I click on this plus, you can see we have for line, and then we have for curve. So we can do a check for our line, can do a check for our curve. So if you look at this very well, you can see we have this design check. Let me show you something quickly. Let's say, for example, we want to create an alignment. We are not creating alignment yet, but I just want to show you something quickly. You can see based on what we have here, if I click here design criteria and I click on check this, if I check this now, this is based on 100 km/h, and I'm not designing this road based on 100 km/h. We have used design check set. This design check, you can see what we have here is basic. So we want to create our own design check set, and you know what we are designing is based on 100 km/h. So definitely every information that is here is not basically what we are going to use, right? So we have our own maybe like a design standard that probably we want to adopt. You can see we have some design standards here, but I'm just going to leave everything as it is here. I will be showing you even as we progress. We'll be using our own pre-designed standard that we have created already. So we'll just select that and it will reflect here. Every properties of that particular standard will reflect here. And then this use design check set is very important, so we are actually going to create ours. So I will just cancel this quickly. So all I need to do now is to click on this design check set and I'll right click and I'll click on new. So if you look at this here, all I need to do is to give it a name on my information. So quickly what I will do here is to name this as let's say this is, so I will name this Federal Ministry of Works Highway Manual, let's say 2018, right? So I can just simply click on this and I'll click on OK. So if you look at this here now, I have this, right? So if you look at this, I still have that basic. I have Federal Ministry of Works Highway. So I will just click on my line here and click on new. So all I need to do here now is to name this, I'll say minimum gradient, which is greater than or equal to 0.5, and I'll close the bracket. So I can say this is for 50 kilometer per hour road. So the first thing I will do is just to add my absolute, because it could be positive, it could be negative. And then I will come to here, I will click on tangent grade, because that is basically what I am designing for, I'm checking for that. And then I will use my greater than or equals to, so it should not be less than 0.5, right, percent, if you can remember. So this 0.5, when you divide it by 100, you have a value of 0.005 005 rather. So this is what I'm going to be having as that. So I can simply just click on OK. So similarly, I can just add another new one. This time around, I'll call it maximum gradient, open bracket. So this is going to be less than or equal to, now you remember that our maximum is 5. If you can remember from what we have in our highway manual, they said it should be 5 for a 60 kilometer per hour. It should be 5, so our maximum is 5, if you can remember. So maximum is 5, right? So I say for a 60 kilometer, I think I made a mistake in the other previous one, per hour, 60 kilometer per hour. So what I'll do here, I will edit that right now, and I will add my tangent grade, and I'll close my brackets, and then this is going to be less than or equal to, so it will not be 0.05. You remember this one is 5, so I will click on OK. So this is for 60 km/h road. So I can come back here. Number is 5, so just to double check that. For my minimum, let's see, I think I did one small mistake. Okay, I think there's no mistake here. It's okay. It is this manual, this that I need to edit. I think I gave it something different. Okay, I think everything is okay. Okay, this one is the description, I think, for okay, we can just leave it at that. We already know what we are doing, and we know whatever we are doing is correct. So our design check sets, let's just come back to our edit, and let's see. We said this is for a 60 km/h right? So let's populate this. For our line here, we have a minimum of this. I'm going to add it, and then for my maximum, I'm going to add this, and I'll click on apply, and I'll click on OK. So we have been able to achieve that for our tangent. Now another thing you need to know that is we are also going to, as we proceed, talk about that of our curve, which is very, very important. There is what we call the length of the curve, and there's what we call the minimum. There's what we call there is a minimum radius of curve that we must take note of, and then there is a minimum length of that curve that we should also take note of. Over time, we've experienced how that your curve may pass that radius of the curve. You may use the actual radius of the curve, which is the minimum radius of the curve, but it will not pass that length of curve. We'll talk extensively even as we progress on that. So most especially that is usually on even in our alignment, and we are going to look at that. You can see for curve, for line, even as we progress, I will explain extensively on all of that. My name is still Abel Gray Cantoma. I'm from GREYTEST Design Consult. This is my WhatsApp contact. You can reach me on this number or call me on any of these numbers. Our training is starting on the 3rd of November 2025. There is a whole lot I'm going to be talking extensively on that training that you will not find here. So if you love what you are seeing, make sure you like, share, and drop a comment, and I will see you on the next one. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and also click the bell icon in order for you to always get a notification whenever I post videos. I post very interesting and very educative videos like this in order for me to give you a deeper insight on design. Make sure you stay safe and you stay blessed.